Glass-Steagall, Kathy Hochul's comments about Canada were psychotic, but everyone misses that she perfectly represented Israel's actual policy. Yeah, let's talk about that, actually. So over the weekend, the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul, came under fire for comments that she made at a UJA Federation of New York event. Now, what is UJA?
It's, I believe, excuse me.
Sorry, you're reading.
No. It stands for United Jewish Appeal Federation. It's like a philanthropic New York Jewish organization that Hochul and many other, obviously, heads of New York politics deliver like keynote addresses at their events and summits and stuff like that. Yeah.
So she's delivering this address, and she's speaking about Israel's massacre in Gaza, and makes a comparison that drew a lot of condemnation. And also justifies, by the way, Israel's genocide in the process.
Call out Hamas for what it is, and it is a terrorist organization that must be stopped. No country should live with that threat, that specter over them. And for those who don't understand this dynamic here in our own state, in our own country, I'll give you an example. I'm from Buffalo. Anybody realize that? If Canada someday ever attacked Buffalo, I'm sorry, my friends, there would be no Canada the next day, right? I love Canada, but we did have the War of 1812, and they did burn Buffalo, so there might be a little conflict here. But think about that. That is a natural reaction. You have a right to defend yourself and to make sure it never happens again. And that is Israel's right. Call out.
So what we're doing here is abandon the Enlightenment, frankly, because when she says that's a natural reaction, what you're saying is a pre-rational one, right? Like
even the crowd, by the way, was like, "Oh, like you're saying."
Because no one is a Zionist is a fucking politician.
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying that out loud. There would be no Canada. There would be no Canada.
Like
leveling the entire population of Canada in response to an attack on Buffalo. I mean, it really is a good example of the mindset of Zionists in this moment, which is that if you dare to say that Israel's assault is in any way overwhelming and morally indefensible and full of war crimes, then in some way you're saying that Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself. And let's be clear too about how this is not analogous in any way. Canada and the United States are two sovereign nations. Israel and Gaza and Palestine, that is not the case. Israel is the occupying power. Israel controls Gaza's borders, land and sea. The reason that a quarter of the population is starving in Gaza right now is because Israel is not allowing aid in. The reason that patients died at Nasser Hospital amid Israel's assault is because Israel was able to damage the electric infrastructure of the hospital, cutting off power because they have the ability to do so. Gaza is a concentration camp. The West Bank is a ghetto. And all of this is under the control of the Israeli government. If Canada were that, then maybe this could be like an analogy that works logically. Morally, there is no question. Under international law, there is no question. And so basically she's saying that any terrorist attack means that genocide is the appropriate response, the wiping out of the civilian population. It just goes to show, we had our conversation earlier with the professor about American exceptionalism and what that means. And if any other country had that kind of reaction and said, we'll wipe out an entire population, what if, the United States attacked what was it, in Lebanon or in Syria? I mean, what were the most recent airstrikes? Just pick one. And if they said, okay, we're going to nuke the entire southwest of the United States in response, how would that be met? How would that be met? So the only reason that U.S. government officials get to say that kind of stuff is because we feel that as the world superpower, that is our right. And international law says otherwise.
And also, I think another interesting, like, sort of not counterfactual, but like a kind of flip side to this logic that Hochul imposed here, which, by the way, she obviously immediately had to apologize for, because I'm assuming her team was like, "Oh my God!"
How did she apologize for it?
What did you say?
What did she? Can we? What is her apology?
You want to see what she said?
Yeah. What is the substance of this apology? Was it like I misspoke?
New York Times.
Yeah. What did she say? But sorry, go on, Bradley. What were you saying while you looked that up?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying that in the context of, for example, if to flip this not only onto another country, but it's another specific geopolitical conflict that the United States was involved in, when the Trump administration carried out the strike that killed Soleimani in Iran.
Yeah.
What if Iran's response to that, instead of making the choice, and this is not me in any way me condoning or voicing any support for the Iranian government, but in that moment, the Iranian government had a choice. The United States killed one of their top generals, one of the most high-ranking political officials and military officials in their country. Does that justify them saying, then, you killed a member of our leadership, we are going to now start an active armed conflict with you? Would the United States feel that that's justified?
Absolutely not. Of course.
Would they feel that? Well, you know what? Iran, it's proportionate.
And by the way,
it's reactionary. Iran is reacting to a proactive and fatal strike that we carried out. There would be zero voices making that claim. It's just not possible.
It is. We are lucky that Iran showed restraint.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
In response to that.
I mean, we should hope everybody continues to, as Israel continues dropping bombs down on different countries or their neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, and again, this is part of why where it's like the Biden administration's now, let's find that Hochul apology. Right. Oh, okay. The Biden administration is saying, well, Israel's actions, they're their own sovereign country. They make their own determinations. Where it's no, the reason Israel,
they can sovereignly restock Iron Dome.
Then do it yourself. Like the United States' arms and diplomatic cover at places like the United Nations is essential to the survival of this settler colonial state that's now committing a genocide. In a statement provided to the New York Times on Friday night, so this was the same day that this came out, after the speech she began circulating on social media, Ms. Hochul said that she regretted her, quote, inappropriate analogy. She apologized for her, quote, poor choice of words. While I have been clear in my support of Israel's right to self-defense, I have also repeatedly said and continue to believe that Palestinian civilian casualties should be avoided. And that more humanitarian aid must go to the people of Gaza. Yes, more aid for the people being bombed.
And this is just another one notch in the belt of the idea that Kathy Hochul was essentially appointed to be Andrew Cuomo's lieutenant governor, very almost explicitly by the fact that Cuomo had never thought she would be a threat to his imperial reign as governor of New York before his controversies, and that outside of one term of Congress that she served in the House, as well as a supervisor, county commissioner in Erie County, a role like that, kind of like a municipal government role in Buffalo's County. Hochul is a look at that. Hochul is a very, very almost in a way that I didn't anticipate, even as someone who worked for the city and had seen her politic. She's a very, very bad politician.
Oh yeah.
Like almost into an extraordinary degree, based on how honestly replacement level pedestrian I thought she was to begin with.
I mean, the results with Zeldin spoke for itself. She was so bad at encouraging turnout that the Democrats on the national level potentially lost the House in 2022 because of how poorly New York Democrats performed. So what an embarrassing moment for her.